Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of FTU Life After the Military. I'm your host, Tony Rodriguez, and today I'm joined by Chas Sampson. I wanted to have Chas on here because he's actually going to discuss a little bit about helping veterans who are trying to or may have difficulties with their VA ratings and just dealing with the Department of Veterans Affairs as a whole, and just how he and his organization goes about helping veterans. So, Chaz, thank you for being on.
Thanks so much, Antonio, for having me on. I'm happy to share some value with your listeners.
Yeah, if you could just explain it to me, because I have no idea. I have no experience with any of the organizations that help veterans.
Yeah, so for yourself and for listeners, there are a number of options veterans can explore to get their VA benefits completed. They can use the traditional route, which a lot of veterans choose, which is a free resource through the VSOs. That's your American Legion, VFW, DAV. That is an option for them. It is free of charge for them. They also can do it themselves or have a friend or battle buddy do it for them also. But oftentimes, what we see is that does not work for our clients. They have tried it a number of times on their own. They've tried free resources as well. And unfortunately, they did not find the result that they seek. And so they come to us to either substantiate what they currently have or to find ways to ensure they get more. And so that's where we come in. We're a very specialized organization when it comes to veteran disability claims. And we want to make sure that the veteran one has choice. They can choose whoever they want to manage their claim. But more importantly, that they're not underrated and they also receive the full value of the benefits that they've earned. And that's where we come into play, is doing the whole entire process from cradle to grave, white glove. They touch nothing. We do all the work for them and make sure they get as much money as they possibly can each month for the rest of their lives.
No, that's great. So I was medically retired after 22 years. I went to the med board. So they held my hand through the entire process.
Mm-hmm.
The Army did.
Yep.
So for me, it was pretty easy because, again, for 6 months, they held my hand step for step on how to do everything. And so, again, I'm just a little ignorant on the topic. But for our listeners, I guess if they wanted to get in touch with you, where are you based out of?
So we take clients from all over the world. We have clients in every single state, except for, I think, South Dakota. So we're in 49 states. And we also have clients that live abroad, from Costa Rica to Djibouti. They live all over the place. So we have offices. We have an office in Houston, Texas. We have an office in Virginia Beach. And we have a satellite office in Orlando, Florida. So if they want to come see us in person, we have brick and mortar in Virginia Beach and Houston, Texas. But we take clients from all over the country. They can go to sevenprinciples.com. That's SEVNPRINCIPLES.com and be able to start utilizing our services.
That's great. That's awesome. And so if somebody reached out to you, like how does this process go? Like, what do you need from them I guess to get it started?
Great question. Just intake form. It's on our website. So they go through the process. They do an intake form. It comes over to our staff. We then organize it from there. We may need medical records in some cases as well, just to make sure we can substantiate whatever the veteran is telling us, that ailment that they're suffering from. And those are records from military service as well as after military service. So it's a pretty simple way to start with us. We try to use the KISS method, keep it short and sweet. That's where folks can, have a simplicity, part of their process, and more importantly, be able to get the benefits that they deserve.
That's great because, we're veterans if you did one day or if you did 30 years, right? And
yeah.
So if you were in the military, these are some things that like you should pursue. I'm not going to say it's your right, but it is kind of your right.
I would say it's your right. Yeah, it's definitely your right.
Yeah, and you should pursue it, right? Like,
yeah,
the VA is there to help you, but they're not. There's just so many veterans, and there's so many claims. Sometimes it can be difficult. So it's good to hear that there are organizations out there that are willing to help.
Yeah, and for us, we have a unique value add is that we all are former feds. So I worked in the federal government making the final decisions on VA claims. I was a raider in Washington, D.C. So I understand the process extremely well, and so does our team. We also have medical professionals, so doctors, physicians on the non-mental health side, and PsyD professionals on the mental health side to do what's called DBQs. Those are very powerful in a veteran's case. And we also have our attorneys that go to the Board of Veteran Appeals that are accredited as well. And so if we have every case that has to go past the regional office level, we have those members in our organization as well that can take care of that for the veterans. So it's a really one-stop shop for veterans from a medical standpoint and also from a legal standpoint to ensure they get the most benefits possible.
So you mentioned a DBQ. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Could you explain that
Yeah.
a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah. So a DBQ is a disability benefits questionnaire. And for those veterans that have been through the process before, they went through a CMP exam. That's a compensation and pension exam. That form that the doctor is filling out when they're talking to you and annotating the information, they're filling out what's called a DBQ. It's a federal document. It only can be completed by a licensed professional. And we do probably 10 of those a day, every day. We talk to thousands of veterans a year, and we take them on as clients as well. So yeah, that's a DBQ form. It's a very powerful form. In most cases, that can be the deciding factor in the matter. We've seen cases that we've submitted on a Friday, come back Monday morning, 100% permanent total. So that is what helps us really get a lot of our results. We just couldn't do this operation in a successful way, at least for the last 11 years we've been in business. We're not having those medical professionals on staff.
Okay. So I see you were also in the military. You're a veteran
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, I was in
Could
the
you
Army. I did.
say a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I was in the Army for 5 years. I served at Germany, and then I deployed to Iraq for 15 months, and then I went to Fort Lewis, which is now Joint Base Lewis McChord. I was there for about maybe 2 or 3 years, and then I decided ETS. Getting out of the military was a better option for me personally. It may not work that way for everyone. Initially, I wanted to do 20 years. I think all of us coming to the military want to do 20 years or at least retire from it. But for me, it made better sense for me and just what I've been able to build to do 5 years and go another direction. So, but the military was one of my biggest investments. I have a number of investments if you look at my portfolio, but the military is by far one of my best investments. And it really helped me be able to understand how to not only navigate in this big, wide world that we have, but also offer value to men and women alike. So,
No, that's great to hear. One, thank you for helping out other veterans. That's what this podcast is here for, just to try to help guys like, hey, you're not out there alone. You
yeah,
can reach back, and there are places that want to help you. Not everybody is trying to take advantage of you. Some of us
exactly.
just want to generally help you. And the other thing I'd like to try to put out on this podcast is for people who are in the military, it's your career.
Mhm.
You decide when you want to get out. Or if you want to do 30 years, go ahead. If you just want to do the first 4, you did your time. You served your country. Like, you don't have to explain that to maybe your spouse. But that's it. That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it. I'd agree with that. Yeah, and I also say as a caveat to that, Antonio, is make sure you have a plan to get out and to stay in. And so I know this is about life after the military. For me, I had a plan to stay in, and also had a plan to get out. And for me, I'm a finance guy, so the time value of money meant a lot for me at that young age. I got out when I was 25 years old, and so for me, I would like to also impress listeners to really find a way to stay in the military if you can. But if you know you can find a lot of success out of the military, then like you said, whether it's 3 years or 30 years, go do it.
Yeah. So you mentioned you have other ventures that you pursue. Could you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think the most exciting venture is I'm an NFL agent. So I represent NFL players from the NFL, all 32 teams. And that's also your front office staff, so your GMs, your coaches. I also can represent them as well, but primarily we focus on football players. But that's the biggest thing that everybody really understand. They really like, oh, cool, you're an NFL agent and you deal with NFL guys on a day-to-day basis. You manage millions of dollars, and that's pretty cool. But we have that. That's my little personal like side hobby, I guess, if you will. And then we have a mortgage division. What we saw is that a lot of veterans, and we have a partnership with Veterans United, and we've been partners with them for about 3 or 4 years. But what we noticed is that veterans will come through our process to get their claim increased. One, to give them a little bit more income into their portfolio so they can also buy real estate. So we end up getting to the mortgage business. We also have a real estate division as well. So our main verticals is 4 of them. We have 4 main verticals: VA claims, real estate, mortgage, and we just did an AI app. We've been working on it for the last year and a half. So I know this probably comes out later unless it's filmed live. That's cool too. But once it does drop, I think it'll be right on time for our app to drop as well. And it's an AI app. It comes out in October. What it does is it takes your SFSC, AFSC, MOS, Marine Corps Army, and rate, Coast Guard, Navy. It takes your job from the military and it creates a resume for you. I've been an employer now for 12 years, and I can tell you I've had so many military men and women come across my email with their resume because they apply for jobs. I'm like, man, this E9 that was one of a hard charging sergeant major is probably really qualified, but his resume is crap, and I can't say yes to it. So we end up letting a lot of good men and women probably pass by because they just didn't articulate themselves in a resume format. And so I wanted to find a way to solve that issue. And just for listeners, I'm a problem solver. I want to solve a problem. If I see a problem that's happening, I'm probably going to solve it. I'm the guy that's probably going to start my car, get out, move things out the middle of the road because I know it's going to cause a problem for the next driver. So that's just my personality. So I saw this as an issue. So I was trying to find a way to build a system that helps them with this. And the first shot was horrible. I tried it. It didn't work. I tried to do a whole, like, you send me a resume in and it goes to a counselor, they redraw it and send it back to you. It's just too much back and forth. And so I ended up finding this resolution to help veterans with this particular issue. And I said, well, you know what? Let's actually make it MOS job specific. And so that worked. And it also helps with the VA claims process. We get a lot of men and women that don't want to do the free services. They think they're not getting the most out of it because that sometimes is true for some people. And they also may not want to pay for the service neither. So they're not what we call a sweet middle. I don't want to do free resources. I don't have the time or the level of patience to do it myself. I don't trust anyone in my circle to do it for me. And I don't want to pay for it neither. So how do we satisfy that demographic of veterans and take care of them too? And so the AI app also helps them with the VA claims process. You can ask any question. It'll tell you the exact answer how to get your claim done on your own. And it also has all the forms in the system to do it. And so I'm pretty happy about that, what we created. I think it's going to be something that helps a lot of military members transition very well. And it's also something that's game changing. No one else is doing it. So,
Thank you for doing that. And that is a great solution for a big need for veterans. And from what I see, it's the younger people who do like 4, 5, 6 years and get out. They don't seem to have as much trouble putting together a resume.
mm-hmm.
It's usually the older guys like me who have done 20 years, like, come out and still have that military mentality. It's like, why wouldn't you want to hire me?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate. And the thing is, like, like you said, the guys like at your age, like, how do you effectively encapsulate 22 years of military service? Like, yes, you have a PMOS, you probably have a secondary MOS as well. You may be also reclassed too, but how do you effectively communicate to someone that's never even heard of your MOS or even the military service? How do you communicate to the civilian employer that you're not only qualified, but you're the best fit for the job? And it's hard to do, especially with a guy that's done 22 years. You've done so many different things over 22 years that's not part of your job description that actually works well for the employer. They just don't know what it is. And so that was my goal, is to really help, yeah, you're right. The 4 or 5 year guys, they get out, boom, boom, it's quick. They haven't really been that out of the world of civilian life, especially if they came in with a job prior to. So it's easy for them to kind of transition back into that whole civilian lifestyle. But for the men and women that do, I would say anything over 10, there is sometimes a disadvantage when it comes back to civilian employment. And hopefully more employers see this and they're able to combat it as well. And hopefully our app is that little small caveat to help people out and get them into the right professions and careers.
Yeah, definitely. I had quite a few E9s that retired, and like, yeah, just tell them I want the job. It's like, it doesn't really work like that. Like,
It doesn't
you
work that
actually
way.
have to put in an application.
Yeah. And politics sometimes too. Some employers, I've gotten jobs when I got in the military just from playing politics, from having a connection, having a relationship. Someone knew that, I was qualified and they're like, hey, you put the job in, you put it in, you apply, we're hiring you. So, it takes some relationship building too. Not for every job, but it can help in some regards.
Yeah, most times it doesn't hurt if you know somebody on the inside, right? A little
Amen
bit
to
of
that.
networking.
Amen to that.
So yeah, I have to admit, when I first heard about 7 principles, I'm naturally a pessimist, right? Doing 22 years in the military, you're kind of just turn a little callous, a little just a pessimist, right? Like,
Yeah.
I got to see it to believe it.
Yeah.
And so, just going through, yeah, I was able to find some reviews, and I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised that you were able that you offered to come on, and then that you provide this good service for veterans out there. 'Cause it's hard. It's hard when you
It is very
transition.
hard. It's very hard, and I tell you, so transition is very difficult, and it's just about the business. I'm used to folks being pessimistic about the business. I mean, I've even had people that don't even believe veterans should pay for it, and that's their own right. And some veterans feel they shouldn't either. That's why I always preface this with, we know who our clients are, we know their struggles, and we know why they're using our service. We have a very good understanding. There's two people that use our service. The one that's been screwed over so many times, and he or she knows they've been screwed over, and the other person that don't want to get screwed over. Those are our typical clients. They want to make sure they get the best right off the bat, and they don't mind paying for it. But I also tell folks, you have options. You have options. It should be your choice of whether you want to use a service like ours or use a VSO. And so, we're used to that. And I'll be frank. I'll be frank with you, Mr. Antonio. I have wanted to close the doors 3 different times in this business over the last 11 years. This is not a business you're going to make $100 million in. You don't do this to get rich. I really started the business because I was overwhelmed with how many veterans needed help. And prior to even offering it as a service, I was in the feds making these same decisions, and I wish I could have given more, but because of my federal responsibilities, I couldn't give more. And so when I got put in a position where I could offer my help, I did it for free for the first year. It wasn't until I got overwhelmed where I said, I have to have a staff. Well, how do I pay a staff? I got to pay payroll. Where's this money coming from? So what other option am I left with? Do I tell these 300 plus veterans? And I'm kind of telling you a story that happened almost 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago. Do I take these 300 veterans and tell them, I'm sorry I can't help you because I don't have the bandwidth? Or do I say, if you're willing to pay me for my time and expertise and we do everything for you, would you pay me? Absolutely. It's all 300 paid. So from that day forward, it's like, well, now they're telling other people. Like the gravy train, it doesn't stop. They're going to tell more people because they're getting the benefit. So now here we are, year 11, actually going to year 12. And it's like, I never would have thought that I would have been doing this, as a business, but my background is finance. So mortgages is more my thing, and managing NFL players is really up my alley. That really tickles my fancy. But I can never tell a veteran no, especially if he or she seeks out. And hopefully in the future we can kind of raise some capital to be able to like do this for free for folks, because that would be really great if we could. But obviously dealing with 3,000 plus veterans per year, and we got a pretty decent sized staff, that doesn't come very cheap.
Yeah, no, and that's totally understandable. And also, the veterans, I'm a veteran, right? I also know that I'm not the most patient person in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Used to being in the military, it's like, let's hurry up and let's do it now. Let's get
Yep.
it done, right? And so, yeah, we can be a little hard headed, a little difficult to work with. I've helped people with their resumes, and they get upset. It's like, bro, I'm trying to help you. You're not going to get hired. You won't even get an interview with this resume.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult explaining that to people in a way that they'll accept your feedback.
Yep. Yeah, I think you make a good point. You express, hey, you're not gonna get hired with this resume. It's not going to fit the pro forma that we need for you to perform at a high level. I think at the end of the day, as long as you set expectations, I think everyone's this way, right? So I deal with a myriad of different people. I deal with you name it. My Rolodex is ridiculous, the amount of people I talk to on a day-to-day basis in the circles that I'm in. And just like veterans want something, they want it right now, and they want it at a certain level. That's just people overall. They want what they want. Some are a little bit more patient than others. Some have better understanding than others. But people overall, they want it. They want it right now. But I think what you're doing, Antonio, which I think hopefully listeners take from this, especially those in business, is to set expectations and find a way to under promise and over deliver. You follow that dichotomy, you have much more happier clients than you would have disappointed clients. And I follow that in first in business. I try to under promise significantly, and over deliver, and also set expectations that are very clear, easy to understand, easy to follow. And that has helped me be very successful in business on multiple verticals with multiple demographics of people, different learning styles, different level of education, different ethnic backgrounds, etc.
Yeah. So setting expectations. I want to get back to, you left the military at 25,
Yeah.
right? How did you develop your plan? Like, did you have a plan? Like when you joined the military, like, hey, I'm going to do 5 years and I'm out, and these are the milestones I have to reach, or did it come
No, I
together in the last year?
no, I was going to be 20 years, sergeant major, tabbed out, airborne, SF, the whole shebang, man. That was my goal. I grew up in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So I was around a lot of SF guys, Rangers, of course, airborne guys about the airplane. So that was my goal, is to do 20 years. And so once I got in the military, I went to Iraq, and then I got back from Iraq, and I was like, okay, I don't want to go back there again. But I was always open to redeploy. I was cool with that. I got into selling cars. That's what really kind of exposed me to the whole world of finance. I got into selling cars, and I was making such good money from doing F&I deals. I sucked at selling cars. I wasn't good at that. I was good at articulating the terms and setting expectations. Like, your credit is a 530. You're not going to get a 6% interest rate here, bud. You're not going to get a Mercedes neither. You're an E4. Like, come on, let's be serious here. You're going to get a Mitsubishi or a Ford, right? We can get you a good one. But here's your terms. The bank will do this, the bank will do that. And I was just very fair and honest with guys, and they were happy about that. And they sent business back to me. And from that, I ended up building such a large book of business that the dealership was like, hey, we need you to actually be a W-9 employee at this point, because we can't just have you walking out here with cash. Like, no more referral fees, none of that kind of stuff. Like, you need to actually desk your deals and do this kind of stuff. So I ended up learning the finance world through that medium and start working with banks and insurance companies, and working with other salespeople as well. And I was like, you know what? I like this. I like being able to get up and set my own time and be able to make my own destiny. And I was an entrepreneur when I was young too. So my first business was cutting grass. So I've always been the type of guy that will go out there, find a problem, create a solution, and get paid for it. That's always just been it just got bigger and bigger as I got older and older, because my expenses in life aren't like, I just want some candy and a pair of jeans, right? So for me, I put a plan together to stay in. I was going to be either a drill sergeant or a recruiter, or drop an OCS package and become an officer. It was those three options, or get out. And so when I just looked at how much money I was making outside and my talents and my abilities, I was like, man, if I can just get, my master's degree, who knows what the world would have for me, and I can always be an entrepreneur. So the military, what it came down to, Antonio, was time. The military took up too much of my time, because it's the nation first. I took an obligation. I raised my right hand. I took an oath, and so I followed that oath until I ETS'd. And so for me, it was all about how much time could I get back, and in that time, how much money can I make, based on my E4 salary? How can I 2x that? And I had 2x, 3x my money while I was in uniform. And I figured if I had more time, I can 4x it. And I was right. And that's what worked for me. It was all about the TVM, time value of money. That's it.
Yeah, no, that's great. Coincidentally, I did 21 out of my 22 years at Fort Bragg.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So we're from about that. We're from the same. You're from Fayetteville at that point.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like I've lived more in North Carolina than I did in California in the first part of my life. So
yeah.
I don't even say I'm from California. So no, I'm from North Carolina now.
Yeah. At that point, I mean, you paid a lot of taxes there.
Yeah, my kids were born here. My granddaughter was born here. It's like,
okay.
Yeah, I'm North Carolina now. Like,
that's home.
California anymore.
Plus, California's gonna be too expensive anyways, especially tax wise.
Yeah, definitely.
North Carolina, what's their tax rate? 6%, 7%? California's at 9.5 or something like that.
Yeah,
7%. Yeah,
even the cost for housing is so
significantly cheaper.
Yeah.
And you can retain a lot of your money there as well. You're not getting taxed crazy on your pension. Yeah, if you get VA disability, yeah, you can really live an amazing life in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Same like I live here in Houston. Houston is very, very much the same. We don't have state income tax. Our property tax is ridiculous, but if you're 100% permanent total, you don't pay property tax. But yeah, I tell folks all the time, like, get away from like the Miamis and the Californias and the New Yorks of the world, and go to North Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, here in Texas. Let your money go far, especially for retirees.
Yeah, it's like there's a bigger part of the country, right? Like, I understand you grew up in one city, but you left there for a reason.
Yeah.
It's okay to visit, but you don't necessarily have to move back there.
You don't.
You can go wherever you want now.
And the thing, Antonio, that's a whole topic in itself, because a lot of veterans, a lot of military folks, they serve in the military, and as soon as they drop that retirement package or they drop that ETS package, guess where they're going? Right back home. I'm like, well, what's back home? Because you left home for a reason. You left to find greener pastures. Why go back home? And then I see these guys, and this is what I've experienced being out in the military now for a decade and a half or so. These guys go back home and they go back to the same rut they were in when they left when they left for the military at 18, 25, whenever they left. It's just like it's kind of saddening to see because some of these guys that I served with have a lot of talent and a lot of capabilities. They just don't apply it, unfortunately. They go back home and they hang around the same friends and they don't take them far. So I never understood that.
Yeah, so that's why I like to have people like you on here so people see us like, look, this is an example that you can follow, right? Like, you don't have to do everything on your own. You don't have to move back to where you were. There are a lot of benefits that the VA offers. Pursue those. Ask for your VRNE so you can get trained on something, right?
Absolutely.
What's the worst they're going to say? No?
Yeah. You're right. A lot of veterans don't even take the step to ask for it. And you're very right. The worst they can say is no. Like, you're declined. Who cares, right? Move on to something else. Or try again if you in appeal. But yeah, some of our clients, we actually encourage them to seek other opportunities. The worst that can happen is to tell you no. So you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, I've had multiple friends retire from the military and then move to South America because their pensions are going to go further there.
Yeah, sure, certainly will.
It's like, do you have family there? Nope. Just
Nope.
move there. Okay.
We have several clients in that region too. They do the research, due diligence, exactly.
And so, yeah, it's definitely, I like to see when guys are, being in the military. I'm afraid of heights, right? But I knew if I jumped out of airplanes, my wife wouldn't have to go overseas.
Right? Oh,
because she don't
pretty
want to
smart.
She don't want to leave the United States. Okay, then I'll jump out of airplanes. Deathly afraid of heights, but okay, whatever. Like, it's quick, right? I'm a heavy set guy, so I'm going to land real fast.
You drop fast, yeah.
And so we did that.
I think that level of grit, that's grit for you, right? Some veterans may not think of that and say, well, if I'm able to sacrifice my fear of heights to keep my family in the U.S. and we don't have to PCS somewhere else or deploy, depending on what you're looking to do, that's grit. And I think a lot of times what makes the difference between a veteran or a military member leaving the military and coming to the civilian space is that level of grit to sacrifice something that brings them nothing in return, but it provides happiness around you to your family, your friends, or business partners, or whomever you find to be special enough to give up a sacrifice. That's grit, Antonio. You're built different, man.
Well, I had my another friend ask me, it's like, well, how'd you find a job? It's like, well, I didn't, like, there wasn't somebody on the corner that just was handing out jobs, It's like,
yeah,
I applied to easily 75 jobs, right?
And that's what it takes.
Maybe 5 interviews.
Yep. Landed one.
Yeah. And I just need one. I don't.
You just need one.
All 5.
Right.
So, and that's what some guys don't understand. It's like, it's not like the 1970s where you're filling the application out by hand anymore, right? It's like it's all computerized. So
it's almost automated sometimes, but indeed you can click, apply. Yeah.
So I like to have people on here so veterans can see, like, there are other ways. You don't have to go the traditional route of, okay, I retired from the military, I guess I better find a GS job or a contracting job.
Yeah. You definitely can think outside the box. I think a lot of guys get stuck in that rut. I think because it's easy. And it's kind of laid up for you, if you will, to get that GS job. But you'd be surprised how much flexibility and creativity is in the private sector. But the private sector does come with some risk too, because I have been in some private sector environments where they don't understand the veteran community and there's no veterans there. So they ask some of the most obnoxious questions, but that's a people thing. That's not a job thing, So yeah, absolutely. To your point, trying to be a little outside the traditional norm of I go from boots to suits in the same building is huge for a lot of our folks.
Yeah. And so even with what you're saying, like, people who have never been in the military, they don't understand, right?
Yeah.
That's okay. You have to look at that as an opportunity to explain to them what the military is, right? Like,
absolutely.
I had people I worked with. It's like, what'd you do? It's like, well, I was a medic. It's like, oh, so you're an EMT. It's like, I don't know too many EMTs who treated a 4-year-old girl in the Amazon who was in septic shock.
Yeah, you're right.
And they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know you guys did that. It's like, yeah, I mean, not everybody, but, we each have our own story.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're right. I actually I had a TED talk I did back in I'll say maybe a year ago now, maybe a little less than a year. And it was titled Don't Thank Me for My Service. And what it was a way to bridge the gap between the civilian military veteran divide. And I encourage veterans all the time, don't build a wall, build a bridge, build a connection. Because you'd be surprised how some civilians are literally just not knowledgeable about it because they're not in that environment. Especially here in Houston, Texas, we don't have a military base. So, when I say I served in the military, they're like, oh my God, wow, like what was that like? They're floored. But if I go to Fort Bragg, back home to Fayetteville, and I say I served in the military, they're like, oh, okay, yeah. Army, Air Force, Army, okay, cool, whatever. All right,
Yeah.
see you guys all the time, right? So yeah, I encourage veterans that if you are, for listeners out there that are out there working in these spaces and you feel as if these questions are stupid from civilians, that may be a good opportunity for you to build a bridge because now you have a new ally and that ally can support you for your whole entire life, your whole entire career, probably become your best friend. So
Yeah, definitely. So have friends, colleagues that have taken different approaches, right? I've had her on my podcast, Marilyn, humble and just because people didn't understand. It's like, well, you're a woman and you're petite. How were you in the army? How were you jumping out of airplanes? It's like gravity
those
works
sometimes the
the
best
same on all of
soldiers.
us.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes those small petite women, they are your best troops.
Yeah,
They get it done. You'd be surprised how they can put on a ruck and go 10, 15 miles with no problem. So, yeah, my fiance was in the Navy. She was an AO, and people look at her like, "No way, you were in the military for 10 years." I'm like, "Yeah, she was in the military for almost 11 years." So, you'd be surprised, man.
yeah. It's we come in all different shapes and sizes, right? It's
That's correct.
we have one thing in common. We all served in the military, but
Yep.
we're all different people.
Yep.
And I've had people come up to me and ask me, you know, how many push-ups can you do? It's like, I don't know. I only did them twice a year for my PT test. That was it.
If I got a dime for every, I wouldn't have say a dime. I would say a penny for every time I've heard that conversation or that question. I'd be a wealthy man for sure.
Or crazy questions like, what was like basic training like in Full Metal Jacket? It's like, no,
Yeah,
no. People weren't losing their minds.
exactly. But I mean, the thing is, like, yeah, you're right. We think it's a stupid question, but for them, they think it's the best question ever
Yeah.
because they're just not exposed to it. And when they do get exposed to it, just by the virtue of our storytelling or our sharing of information, they're like, "Wow, like was this like that?" Because that's the only thing they have to associate with military services, Full Metal Jacket or Major Pain. I've had some Major Pain questions before that are pretty funny too.
I actually like that one when I've been asked a couple of those. Like, of course, I've been shot in the heart and I've pulled the bullet out myself.
Do they believe you for real?
So I get the look, the doubt. Like, I'm
You
joking,
sure?
guys. No, I didn't use a knife to perform open heart surgery on myself.
Oh man, that's a good one. I'm gonna have to steal that one. That is a good one.
But again, like you said, people just don't know, and that's
Yeah.
okay, right? That's okay
Hmm.
because people tell me about their job sometimes. Is like I have no clue what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I've had
We all
people
can
work
learn from each other.
in like solar construction, and it's like my idea of construction is just like things that I see in the movies, right? Somebody with a jackhammer. It's like,
Yep.
yeah, there's more to it than just that, buddy.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. That's pretty interesting. Solar construction. I didn't know that was a thing. I mean, I knew it was a thing, but I didn't know. Like, I'm trying to think. Like, what is solar construction? Like putting solar roofs on homes. I'm assuming.
So the commercial version of like doing the solar fields,
Yeah.
and it's
Oh,
actually
that.
yeah, it's actually pretty big in Texas because it's all flat and you have
Yeah,
so
yeah, it
much
is. Yeah,
land.
I've seen them out here. Yeah.
Yeah, and so out west, like in Texas and further west, it's great because you can have like big grids, rectangles, right?
Mm.
And back east, here in North Carolina, Virginia, land is sparse, right? So
Right.
you have to the electric companies have to purchase land from farmers.
Okay.
So they have to piecemeal it together. So you'll have a portion of one spot, then a quarter mile down the road you have another one, and then another quarter mile you have another one. So they try to connect them together, but it's inefficient, but the solar companies make it efficient.
I see. That's impressive. I have never actually looked into that. Hmm.
Yeah. And
Okay.
the solar companies are actually a good place for veterans to go and seek employment after the military. Uh, I did it for a year, but my injuries from jumping out of airplanes for 21 years,
Yeah.
just I was a project manager, but just the frequent travel was too much for me.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I
Yeah.
had stepped away.
All I know about solar is I met one veteran that owns a solar company, actually it's here in Houston, and they resell solar packages. So they have like a whole team that door knocks and they charge, I'm not sure what they charge, but it's up there for the installation of solar panels. So they buy the solar panels, get them installed, and then they have like some payment plan you can do. But solar construction sounds very, very interesting. I'm in the construction business. I flip a lot of real estate and I develop real estate as well. So I may look into that a little bit more.
Yeah, because there's different aspects. You have the large company, the EPC that does everything, and then you'll have
Okay.
other companies that they're the large company, but they'll subtract parts out to other like smaller companies that'll, hey, we're just going to do the electrical, okay. Hey, we're just going to do the civil, okay, and they'll piecemeal it out. And you have that
Okay.
one company, that the bigger company that oversees everything.
Yep. Makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we do the same thing here in construction. We get the bid and we
yeah.
outsource the flooring, the tile, the roofers, the framers, the concrete guys. So yeah, I see how that will work. That's a very similar model. I'm learning from you, Antonio. I'm sorry, my brain starts to
No, no,
turn
no,
over here.
that's great. And
Uh,
actually, Texas and back west is, I'm not going to say easier, but it doesn't rain as much as it
yeah,
does on the East Coast during the winter. And when it rains, you're pretty much shut down.
really. So
Yeah,
you can't set up solar operations construction wise in the rain.
you can to an extent, but
Okay,
if there's lightning, obviously they shut it down.
makes sense.
And
Yeah.
you have, obviously you have safety people on site, so depending on how much it rains, the safety person is going to make that call. It's like, all right, it's too much. We need to stop for today.
Yeah. So I guess the way into this business is to own the land, and then when you own the land, you can set up the construction farm. And then who would you sell it to? Who's your buyer typically?
They're
Like electric
usually like,
companies?
yep.
Okay. How
It's
do you
I didn't
pitch
realize.
them?
It's not difficult. The
Oh,
electric
really?
companies are looking for it. Like it seems like they can't produce or purchase enough land for these solar
Solar
projects.
farms.
Yeah,
Ah,
and even with the technology, I don't. There was one solar farm out in Arizona that was supposed to be the super mega solar farm that was supposed to last 100 years, but because technology advances so much, after this was in Arizona, I think about 20 years. This was like in the early 1990s. It's they have to redo it now because the
okay.
technology has advanced so much. It's like, yeah, it was great for the time, but
It's
it's not
obsolete at this
working
point
right
because
now.
it's
Yeah,
technology.
yeah.
So it sounds like if you buy some land like in Midland, Odessa area, which is that's going towards West Texas, raise capital for it, and then put the solars, you can make a lot of money from this. You got my mind turning
Oh,
because I can raise capital
yeah,
easily. You know.
yeah. You possibly could. Again, you just have to double check with like the electric companies to make sure they're on
Yeah.
board. But the other thing with that is, along with solar, right, is the batteries, the large battery.
Hmm.
Um, that's the other part of solar, right? Because you want to run everything off of solar power, but when it's not, when you don't have a sunny
There's
day or you don't
sunlight.
have as much
Yeah.
output, you want to have those large batteries that are stored and they can still
Yep.
push energy out. So
Makes
there's two
sense.
sides of it, and your best panels are probably going to be like 50% efficient,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So that's why you have so many
So
panels
you
out there.
need more panels. Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah.
That's a really good idea. You're gonna have my brain turn all night now because I have a colleague of mine that pitched to me a solar idea, and I didn't really go for it because I got other things. I got other things going on. But yeah, this sounds like a really, really good. I'm sorry, you got me thinking. It sounds like a really good business idea.
No, that's
Hmm.
fine. Like I said, I liked it. It was just too much travel. My body can't take that.
Yeah, I
You know,
understand.
just being in the car driving that much was like, no, not going to be able to do it.
Yeah. And the cool thing about here in Texas is, unlike Fayetteville, Fayetteville has what was PwC, I think it is.
Yeah.
for your electricity. So it's only one organization you can work with, and if you don't like them, it's who cares? Like that's who you're dealing
Yeah.
with. Whereas in Texas, you have free rights. You can choose who you want to have your electricity provider as. So I can see this being something where you can upsell the opportunity to one of those companies because then they can upsell it again and give their customers probably like Reliant. I use Reliant here in Houston. Um, but yeah, I can. You got my brain turned, that's so to speak, because I'm thinking like, wow, there's a lot of opportunity for this. So
No, that's good. And that's what I hope to get out of this podcast, right? Like we share ideas and like somebody comes up with something, hey, you know what? I never thought of that. Why
yeah,
maybe I'll try that.
yeah. I think I might. I just got recently into raising capital, which is a pretty cool thing. I've been funding real estate deals on my own pocket for the last 8 years, and now I've gotten to the point where I'm just getting given. I've been receiving land. I just got land, right? Just from virtue of negotiating good deals. So I got this piece of land. It's quite a bit of land, and now I'm going to develop it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be a developer now. I'm just going to start developing stuff. So now I'm into like raising capital because to do that, I want to build apartment complexes. So I can't, obviously fund it at my own. I don't have that kind of money laying around to fund a, $25 million project. So I got into raising capital and it's super easy and super fun. So now I'm like, well, what else can I raise capital for? So this whole construction thing with solar is very exciting because one, I know Texans need that. There's a huge push for solar, especially in Texas. Even though people here in Texas are a little more old school, they want to have the natural gas, they want to use the electricity from the light. But solar is becoming a really cool thing because a lot of people are moving from California and Florida and New York, and they want solar in their homes and they want the whole shebang. So yeah, I mean that's all. That's what's about. Each one teach one.
Yeah, and no, you're talking about raising capital, right? I had my
Yeah.
friend on here. He invests in commercial real properties, right?
Okay.
And I had no idea what like so I was asking him, so what do you mean? Like you just buy apartments or office buildings? It's like, no, dummy, I don't have that type of money. It's like, but you go around and you raise the money from other people,
Yeah.
and then you invest into these properties, improve them and sell them, or hold on to them, whatever, and the people
You
make a
exit.
profit that way. It's like, oh,
Yep.
I didn't even know that was business.
Yeah. Oh, it's a huge business. That's how
Yeah,
most of it is operated. Yeah. We do accredited investors. So it's a 506C. We do what's called a capital call and raise a bunch of capital. And from there, we put it in different projects, different funds. And our goal is to exit at a, 4 or 5x multiple. So if I buy it for a million, I want to sell it for, $4 or $5 million, 3.75, somewhere in that ballpark. And that spread is profit. And I'm able to give them back the investors what they signed up for, and I make a little money at the deal as well. And the next guy that buys it, he gets a piece of real estate. So yeah, it's not as hard as people think it is. And actually, the bigger the deal, the easier it is. I've had trouble with small deals. I mean, deals that were like $500,000 deals; those were tedious to deal with. Versus a $5 million deal is much easier to raise capital for. So
yeah. I started researching it, and got to run everything by my spouse, right? She's like, I don't know, so that's fine.
yeah,
Um,
all you do
happy
is set up the
wife, happy
fund.
life.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, all you do is set up the fund. The fund will cost you some money. It costs us 25,000 to set up the fund, and we're 506C Regulation D filing with SEC. And then from there, it is a barrier of entry to get into the business of raising capital. You have to if you're doing it compliantly. Some people aren't doing it based on compliancy, but if you're compliant, it does cost a bit much to have the proper attorneys do a PPM and make sure that you are registered with the SEC as your Reg D filings and making sure you have the software to manage the capital that comes in, that you also can ensure that if you are raising from accredited investors, that there's a platform to check their accreditancy or accreditation, if you will. So yeah, it's a big world out there. So for listeners that want to get into real estate, this is one of the ways to do it. Obviously, if you're doing much smaller deals, anything under a million, you don't really need to have accredited investors, but dealing with non-accredited investors can be a challenge in itself, So yeah, but once you start dealing with accredited investors, you need to have the systems, the platform, the everything. We fortunately for us, we were blessed to have the capital to do all those things and do them pretty quick. So
Yeah. Hey, so earlier you mentioned that you were on a TED Talk, right?
yeah, yep.
Uh, do you know the title of the episode? Because people might want to check that out.
Yeah, if you let me Google it real quick. It was TEDx Greenhouse is where I spoke at.
Okay.
But if you YouTube like "Don't Thank Me for My Service" or something to that effect, I think it pops up. I probably should put some more traction into it. Don't think I'm gonna look it up real quick. Don't thank me for my service. And my signal's a little. I got my phone on DND, and I swear every time it's on DND, I never have great connection. Um, I can't really find it right off, but don't thank me for my service. If you type in Chas Sampson,
Yeah.
CHAS, I'm gonna type before I said I'm gonna make sure that is a fact.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. It comes right
there it
up.
is. Yep.
You're
If you
right.
type in Chas Sampson, CHAS SAMPSON, it comes right up. TEDx Live, and it's "Don't Thank Veterans for Their Service." The name of it is TEDx Greenhouse, and it was 9 months ago. So I probably should do a little bit more of broadcasting that, but it was just something that I got invited to do, and I thought it'd be great to do it for our military men and women because I live in those shoes where people say thank you for your service, and then afterwards, like it's dead silent because they don't know what to say next.
Yeah.
And so I figured I would build a bridge. And it's not really my best work, just for viewers out there. When you go look at it, and you're like, oh, I expect to have something really great in this TED talk, or TEDx talk. It wasn't my best work. I forgot most of what I wanted to share because they make you rehearse the lines. And then I got in front of a live audience. And I was like, oh man, I forgot what I was going to talk about. I started sweating and everything because it was super hot. It's all these lights on you and stuff like that. But I figured I was doing my little small part to help, my fellow men and women that served, and it shares some sentiments that I have about when people say thank you for your service. I feel like it's not as fulfilling as other things. It's a way to break the ice, but once the ice is broken and you're in the water, how do you swim? And so I want to at least teach my fellow civilians this is how you swim with us when you're asking or when you're thanking us. And for me personally, I don't care to be thanked for my service. This is my job. It's what I signed to do. It's what I wanted to do. I never thought I was going to get a thank you for it. But here we are in today's world. So
Yeah. Well, no, and I want to thank you for helping all the fellow veterans out there because when you're in the military, it's like, whatever, I'll be fine. Like, I'll find a job. Life's going to be, I'm going to leave here and it's just going to be champagne and caviar for the rest of my
hmm
life. And it's not. And some
yeah,
guys, some people just the silence of not having people texting you at all hours.
yeah,
Uh, People aren't ready for that. That's
exactly.
totally different. Like people that you thought were your friends were really just coworkers.
There were, yeah,
Some were your friends, but you know what? They have to deploy or they have to go
yeah,
to GRTC. They have to do a 12-mile road march, right?
hmm
And they don't have time to go play golf or have a coffee or do nothing on a Monday afternoon.
yep.
So
And I tell you this as well, Antonio. And I've been. I guess we can enter this now. I have a hard stop here in 6 minutes, but um, you'll be surprised how our military men and women suffer from that, but so do NFL players. So me being on both sides, you will be surprised how similar these two demographics are. Men and women that serve in the military and men that play in the National Football League. When they transition, the transition is so tough for these men leaving the NFL, also tough for our men and women leaving the military service as well. You'd be surprised how these two demographics are extremely alike. And so I'm doing my little small part to solve it for both parties. I've done a great job solving it for military men and women. I'm still going to always do that. That's my life calling. But now I'm in this position where I also can have NFL players too. And their drop off is even more significant because you go from making league minimum, let's say it's a million, it's a little under $1 million for this league year, to now you're going to do 3 years or 4 years, depending on how you were drafted. To now, when you leave the military, you're back at zero, and you have no skill set, no way to give back to society from a education career standpoint. And what you know is playing football, but you can't play anymore. So, I am on this new trail in life now to showcase that we have to take care of our men and women that serve, but also think about some of the other folks that, like you said, those text messages, they're dried up. Those opportunities are no longer there. Those fans raving your name are no longer raving your name anymore. You're not the coolest wide receiver or quarterback or defensive lineman anymore. Like you are a has been. And the military, the same way. You leave the military, you become a veteran, no one cares anymore. You get a 10% discount on Veterans Day, and thank you for your service, right? Same with NFL players. They get a thank you. You were NFL, cool. Can I take a picture? All right, I'm out. Who cares about what your social life is like? Who cares about your personal life? So yeah, I wanted to tell listeners that I'm on this path to really showcase how these two demographics are very similar and how there has to be more resources for both military men and women as well as the guys leaving the NFL.
Okay, since we only have a few more minutes here, is there anything else that you'd like to, one, promote, and two, could you please again just tell veterans or tell anybody how can they get in contact with you if they want help with their VA claims, or maybe they might want to invest with you?
Yeah. Well, as far as VA claims are concerned, you can go to sevenprinciples.com and you can, of course, start your intake form and start your claim there. If you reach out to me for VA claims, unfortunately, I won't be able to do it directly. I am the CEO of the company. I have an amazing staff. They will feel as if their efforts are being diminished if I do the claim. So please work through the proper channels and go through our staff for VA claims help. If you want to follow me on social media, if you want to DM me, if you want to like follow what I have going on or ask questions about, hey, Chas, you have all these things going on. How do I, be a part of that or just learn from you or just stay tuned about things that's happening? You can Google me on Google. My name is Chas Sampson, Chas. Last name is Sampson. And all my channels come up. TikTok, Instagram. I have X account now because NFL is kind of it's like you should have X account or Twitter as it used to be called. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff is there. So you can pick whichever one is your fancy, and of course, follow me and DM me if you like. And as always, I want to always give value. And once again, to the listeners, thank you for listening, and more importantly, Antonio, thank you for hosting me and let me come onto your platform.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. For everyone out there listening, just remember you have something that makes you special, something that makes you unique. Identify what it is, maximize it to its fullest potential, and know you'll be successful. This episode will drop first week of October, and then after that, the same day it drops, I'll be recording from London, England. We're taking it on the road.
Awesome.
So until next time, zot, 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 and roll tide.